Oh, you put it back up there? It has fell.
Yeah. I have to put it back.
Okay.
Okay. Ooh, I gotta be careful with these balloons. We had a grand opening at the beginning of the month, and the balloons just stayed up. We said, it's still pretty, we're gonna leave them up.
Yeah, why don't you come up some, just a little bit.
They're
Just
well on.
Come up towards me.
Right
Yeah,
here.
A little bit more, right there on the carpet. You do the
Me
same. Okay, great,
That's
perfect,
good.
right there. Okay. Let's see what we're looking like.
I'm just putting your name right there, that's why I'm bad with,
All right. Facing the color. Okay.
but I'm not looking that way.
What are you gonna do with your phone?
Oh, let me move it.
Okay. That's good. Right there.
Okay, this is good.
That's good.
You good?
I'm good.
Okay.
I'm good. I know I have a bad hair that is. So that
Oh, no, your hair's pretty. I got my little band on mine, so I already know.
Can you bring that down just that way a little bit?
Oh, move it down.
If she can pull it towards, a little bit more. Right there. Right
That's
here.
good.
All right. 3, 2.
Welcome to the Not So Christian to Me show. I'm your host, Southern Girl Denise, and today we have another awesome show. Today we are honored to have our Texas governor candidate, Miss Deirdre Dickson, right? Gilbert.
Yeah.
I have to add that Gilbert on there. How are
Absolutely.
you?
Oh, I'm doing fine.
Thank
I'm
you so
doing
much for being our
excellent.
special guest.
Thank
This is
you.
an honor. This is like our first governor going to be governor. I'm claiming it on the Not So Christian to Me show. This is our governor, y'all. Texas governor, y'all, in the building.
Absolutely.
So how does it feel, to like be in this race, right now?
Well,
you know,
right
with
now-
everything going on.
I mean, somebody has to do it, and I just say,
Right.
why not me? So
Yeah.
I mean, I'm really, really just excited,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm really just ready for a change. And
Yes.
so I'm ready to go.
I know the world
Yes.
is ready for a change all
Yes.
over because there's so much is going on in the world.
Absolutely.
So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm a native Houstonian,
Okay.
born and raised, been here for quite a long time.
Wow,
Yes.
wow.
I went to school here. I went to Prairie View as well.
All right. PV in the
PV
house.
in the house.
They have a game, I think, this weekend, or something's going on.
Something's supposed to be going on,
I
yeah.
heard somebody. I was in the store and somebody was talking about the PV.
Yeah. So
Something was
yeah,
going on this
we're
weekend.
doing it.
Yeah.
And so I went to Prairie View.
Okay.
I'm a former teacher of 26 years.
Oh, my goodness.
So I taught 26 years. I'm a what do you call a small business owner.
Okay.
I do a lot of work with veterans at this time. So I work with homeless veterans.
Okay.
And what we do is we find veterans housing, clothing, whatever it is that the veteran needs.
Yeah.
And back in 2011, I created a nonprofit based on my daughter. And my daughter passed away from medical malpractice.
Oh,
And so what I did was I created the only nonprofit in the country that assists those that have been harmed by medical error. Or let's just say they may need help monitoring or going through the medical system.
Okay.
I do that. So I've been doing that and helping people. And so I've been around politics probably over 40 years, around it, in it,
Yeah.
know the ins and outs and all about it, right? So this is who I am. I've always just been a helper, and that's, just a Texan.
Yeah.
Just a
I love
Texan.
that. I love
Yes.
that you're a Texan and you've
I'm a
been here.
Texan.
So you
I've been
know the
here.
culture, you know
Yes.
everything about us, and that's what we
Everything.
need to lead Texas. We need somebody strong like that with a strong foundation, and I love that about you.
Yes.
And I also love that you went to PV and you studied political
Political science and
mass communication.
communications,
That's good.
absolutely.
I'm like, I got to be on my P's and Q's. I'm coming here with her. So
Yes.
how was that journey in college?
Well, you know what? It was all preparation for me.
Yes.
I didn't know that because when I'm telling my story, and I'm telling them all the things that I've done, and I'm like, Lord, is this it?
Yeah.
And it brought me to this moment. So, I mean, I ran track.
Okay.
I was first runner up Miss Prairie View.
Mhm.
And so I just love college. I finished at the age of 18. So I was real young
Yeah.
when I finished college. And so I modeled, I did modeling,
Okay.
and thought I was just that. I thought that was going to be the world for me,
Mhm.
but just ended up that wasn't it. And then when I had my daughter, her being disabled, I ended up having to stop working because there was no one to take care of, and that was my road.
Yeah.
My road to this journey where I am right now. So,
It's amazing how our children
Yes.
sets everything up for us. We don't know, God is setting it up for us, but he works
He
in
did.
mysterious ways, and
absolutely.
your daughter, is we told you to hold. Oh, okay. We'll pause right
Okay.
there. But everything's going good. It's going
Yeah.
good. Yeah, because I was getting ready to, we was gonna talk about your daughter a little bit. Because
Okay.
When did your daughter pass away?
2011.
Okay, so we'll talk about that.
Okay.
And then we'll ease on to your candidate
Okay.
going into governor.
Okay.
From there.
Yeah.
It's going
And
good.
the not so Christian.
Yes. So
how we
basically, the show is a show that we talk about the time we fall short of God's glory and how we all are on this journey together.
Mhm.
And our platform is a platform to talk about those times that we fall short, to get us back on track, to let everybody know, like, hey, you're not alone. We have that platform for you. We don't judge anybody. People that's not Christian, eventually we want them to convert to be a Christian, but that's what the platform is all about. And to know, like, hey, it's okay. It's other people that's like you that's dealing with certain things, and we're here to be that boy to help you get through those times of need.
Okay.
So that's what it is, because we feel like everybody has fallen short of God's glory.
Mhm.
So we need to be there for each other to go through those struggles together and know that, Yeah. And I was meaning to ask you that you get the information from Candace, but she'd be so busy
Which one?
about the information about the show.
Yes.
How to come up with the concept and stuff. Yeah, so that's how I came up with it. It's been very
Not so
successful.
Christian. My mind would like.
Right. But that's why in me, certain things that we do is not, it's not the way that we're supposed to live. But, we live in a sinful world, so sometimes we fall short. So.
Okay, 3, 2.
Okay, so tell me a little bit about that journey through Prairie View A&M. I know that you said that you had your daughter.
Yes.
And everything led to other
Just,
things.
I went to, like I said, I was there for, initially I thought it was music because I love
okay.
music. So when I found out where the building was and how far it was, I was like, nah.
Yeah.
I didn't want to get up out the bed, and walk that long distance because as beautiful as Prairie View is right now, that wasn't it back in the day. We didn't have the beautiful buildings and the paved
So they
roads.
have come a long way.
We come a real long way, and real dark. So
okay.
we didn't have all the lights and the beautiful stuff that's going on right now. And so, like I said, I went for political science. I got into political science, mass communications, and was thinking I wanted to be an attorney. However, I just never did go to school to become an attorney. I thought that that's what I wanted to do. But as I went along my journey and as I started looking at the type of work that I was doing, it was better for me to not really have that attachment because I was always a fighter for rights.
That's good.
And the first thing they'll go after is what makes your money, right?
Yeah.
How you put food on the table. So I was like, they can't take my mind. They can't take my brain. So I got the knowledge, got out, and I think everybody thinks this, when I get out of school, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. And most people don't do what they say they're going to do. But the skills I used. So once I started teaching, I became a union representative, fighting for rights of teachers, and just doing those kinds of things. And what I learned along the way helped me to know law, how to read law, how to read case law. All of these things really helped me along my journey. So Prairie View, I love Prairie View. All of my friends and my family, I went there because my mom didn't want me to go to another. She said, I'm not letting you go to another school because I was the only child.
Okay.
And she called me a crybaby. So she's no. You're not going to go way out where we can't get it in.
Yeah.
So definitely, so I was right there at Prairie View. And that was just, this is where it's taken me. It was just the start. And I believe, like you said, that road was already planted. It was planted
Yeah.
I didn't know how that connection would be, but everything that I learned along the way,
Mhm.
all of the upsets and all of
Yeah.
the changes actually gave me what I need for this moment.
You just put that pavement down.
I just followed it.
Yeah.
I just followed it. I followed
Now,
it.
what led you to run for Texas governor? This is pretty huge.
Oh, wow. Now, again, as I was talking to some people, you know, and as like I said, fighting for rights,
Yeah.
I saw that Texas didn't care about constitutional safeguards. Many people don't know that half of the nation is not under the law or not under protection of the law.
Yeah.
We're talking about half of the nation.
Wow.
Which simply means we only have a few people that are protected, and we're not. When I was going through after my daughter's death and learning about certain laws, I went to the very people who I thought would help me, and they could not or would not. So after this long battle of fighting or seeing injustices and not seeing what I wanted to see, I figured like I might as well run for office. Most people say, why you? Or who are you? You know, who are you to run for office? And I'm saying, well, who is anybody pretty much? And the basic qualifications to run for governor is only to be 30 years old and to have lived in the state of Texas for 5 years. That's it.
I did not know that.
So that simply means they're not even requesting much from anybody. If that's all they're asking for. That's it. And you can just sign and do your filing fee and run for office. So that's the basic skills. But what makes me different? And I thought about human life, because we're not focused on human life anymore. This is most people along the way who's I've been talking to have been talking about, this is not a political race. I'm running a human race. So this is where I am. It's a total different manner of politics that I'm running right now. And that's what I have to do. So this is why I'm running, so that we can change the hearts of men by showing the Christian way, or by showing that there is a different way to be. We don't have to all be depressed and oppressed, that there is hope.
We need somebody to show us that there's hope out there.
There is hope.
Because, you know, you get to a dark place and you feel like there's no way out.
Yes.
And I feel like you are the way out for the people of Texas, to show us that light, show us the hope, show us the love that's missing. I feel like it's so much hurt that's missing. And I feel that you're the right candidate for that, to fill in that void for the people of Texas.
Because it's a different time and day that we're living in. And it's a hope, even though I talk about humanness, it has a lot to do with legislation though. And it's all about the pen. We have to really pay attention to what we're looking at, the laws that are being passed. And I tell you, if you saw whatever happened September the 1st, I don't even want to mention the number. It's the mark of the beast. But that's how many bills were passed in the state of Texas. Can you imagine that many bills being passed? Who looked at those bills? And many of them, you can see the internet is just trolling with issues of how they came up to be, you know, these bills that have been passed. And you can say that there's no humanness in it. Not at all.
And speaking of bills, which one of the bills that you're not a fan of?
Wow.
It's a lot of them, huh? Well, since we don't have enough time, just tell us one or two.
It's quite a bit. I mean, there are so many embedded bills. I mean, one of the main bills they talk about is the voting rights. You know, your voting rights, and I call it voting barriers, because our voting rights in itself have not been taken. We have been given that right to vote. Martin Luther King marched for us to vote. You know, we've gotten it right. What we're fighting right now is the right to cast it, in my opinion. You know, so they're finding ways for you not to cast your vote. Your right to vote is still there. However, we also know that I always been told if they tell you what they look like and how they're working, then follow the lead. So they're telling you what they're doing. So if they're telling us that you need your driver's license or we're going to do blank, blank, and blank, then this is what we need to focus on, getting that.
Yeah.
So that when you get to the polls, we won't have that problem maybe. When we get to the polls, there may be another issue that we have to face, but we can say that we did what we were supposed to do, not to have to say that we didn't get to the polls to vote. So voting is a huge, big issue with me. But there are some real heavy duty issues such as abortion that people are talking about right now. And I talked about that this morning on my show.
Okay.
You know, and the big question I ask is, we talk about pro-life. And the big question I ask is life. And is it just when you're in the womb? So if we're going to talk about heartbeat, are we just talking about a heartbeat as it's growing? Or are we talking about as a heartbeat when we're walking on this earth?
Yeah.
When you don't feed me, you don't give me access to care, you don't give me options, you don't give me anything. So this is when I talk about, what are you talking about? Because you definitely can't be talking about a heartbeat bill when you don't think about people as a whole. So it's a lot of different layers of legislation. I mean, we're talking about healthcare, we're energy. It's gonna encompass education, everything. I mean, everything. So that's where we are. I mean, there's 660. And I'm not gonna say last name. Yes, that's it. It's too many.
Yeah, it's too many.
It's too
We
many.
shouldn't have that many.
Well, that lets you know they did it during the night. You remember we used to vote on bills, right?
Yeah.
Where did that go? The right to even know what you're telling us we have to do.
Yeah.
We that hasn't been on the plate, and I don't know when.
Oh my goodness.
You know,
Yeah.
we vote to give them money
Mm-hmm.
to do certain things, but we have actually voted for what we felt was right for people. They've made those decisions for us behind closed doors.
Do you think the government is based off of greed?
I think so. I mean, if we look at it, it boils down to two things. And this is what my attorney always says. He says, why? And that's the question he asked me. He says, why? Everything that we are debating on, right? And it always boils down to money and power. Money and power.
You know, in the Bible, money is the root of all evil.
Yes.
Yeah.
So money and power is the two things that we have to talk about, but we don't see it. But I think, after the last election that we had, I think the world is sort of seeing a different side of politics than we have seen in years. And I think a lot of people are finally seeing the real side of what politics look like. Even though you may have heard it was dirty or whatever, you didn't really see that because it wasn't televised. But because we had to stay at home, look at TV, we had to watch it.
Yeah.
And so that's what we see now. So now we can go on the internet, you can find whatever you want. And so we're more informed individuals than we were before. And I think this is the reason why people are rising up, because they have now, I'm going to say, the eyes are opening.
Yeah.
Yes.
We're awakened now.
We're awakening.
I've been hearing a lot of people talk about that. We're at the time of the awakened era. Everybody's being more knowledgeable.
Yes.
Now they're seeing things in our very own eyes, which is amazing. This is something that we all been waiting on for people to wake up. Come on, you guys, wake up. Do you guys see what's going on in this world? Wake up. So I'm glad that this is a stepping stone for many things to come.
Yeah. Because I was asleep.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think we all went to sleep because we were comfortable. If we had a good job, or if we were comfortable where we had the car and the white picket fence, and we were just, we could put gas in our car and we can go to Papa Do's and eat or whatever, those things made us comfortable, and we didn't pay attention.
No, we didn't.
And then we woke up and there we go. We're finding out all of the things that we should have known, but we didn't.
Yeah.
And that should change. And I think that's going to make a lot of more people accountable.
That's what it's all about,
Yes.
making people accountable.
Absolutely.
Now, I want to talk about education. I'm a educator, and I know that you're a retired
Yes.
educator, and I know once you become governor, because
Yes.
you're going to become governor, you say you want to focus on equality in education.
Mhm.
How would that look?
Well, as you know now, everything is being focused on privatizing.
Yeah.
Private everything. It
Mhm.
started a long time ago. When I stopped teaching, I'm going to say probably it's been maybe 8 years now
Okay.
that I got out of education. And the reason for that is because I saw that education was changing then. But it was changing way before then when they began to put incentives
For the
on-
students.
for
just
teachers.
Okay.
And it became competitive.
Yeah.
But then we found out that the money really wasn't going to teachers, it was going to administrators.
Mm.
Then we got to the point where we couldn't be creative, we couldn't teach.
Yeah.
Then becomes teaching to test,
Yes.
Right?
We're all about that.
all of those things. So
It's
that
not fun
just
anymore for the students.
it destroyed
Yeah.
a lot of things. So we're talking about now that industries have figured out how to monetize.
Mm.
It began charter schools. And then they began to push the charter school and say that the charter schools were actually private when actually they weren't. They were actually underneath HISD
Public
or
schools.
any of the public schools. And they began to take money away from the public
Mhm.
schools. So all of these things
Mhm.
is what we need to look at. Where are we going to go from here? Because right now, a lot of people are in panic mode. Will I send my kids to school? But one of the bills that was passed had to do with virtual learning. And I don't know if you saw that, but basically it says that if a child has a grade average is lower than a C, if they had more than 10 days absences, that they would not be able to do virtual learning.
Or something similar to that. Yeah.
Which is okay because
Mhm.
in a sense, right? But they don't have, what do you do with that? Because we already know that that's failing.
Yeah.
Because they're lower than the C,
Mhm.
which simply means you're gonna put them in the school with no options to do what? They don't want you to teach.
Yeah.
So what are they gonna do? Put them in there. They want them to fail. So then they can try to put everybody back online. But the way the infrastructure is in the state of Texas and all across in the rural areas, there's no access to internet. So how are you teaching virtual?
Something to think about.
There's no training. And then you have teachers who've never, it's hard to teach a student on a computer.
It is.
Then we're talking about students who are sitting there who really, and I believe that they thought computers were fun. They're finding out now they don't even want to look at the computers,
Yeah.
right? Because sitting at a computer for 8
Oh.
hours and you only get to probably walk away for 30 minutes maybe for lunch.
Mhm.
There's no recess. You have no time to mingle. You have no time to, play with your peers or talk to anyone. So what do we do with education? We got to bring it back.
Yes, we do.
In my opinion, there's nothing wrong with public education. Nothing wrong with it. What was wrong is where they put the money
Mm.
and how much did they put into the schools. So one of the things that I did find out was that we all thought that lottery, all 100% lottery would go to education, but only 26% of that goes. 26%
Wow.
goes to public education. And the rest
That's a
goes
strong need. We need
somewhere
it.
else that it need not go.
Mm.
But that was what they were told. So they took that other money and placed it where they wanted to place it. And so your schools went down.
Mm.
And then I look at what we're teaching. I mean, are we teaching are the students learning? And I mean, you as a teacher, you should know what's going on in the schools. Are you able to teach? Do you have what you need? And pretty much you can say no, you're having to buy your own supplies.
Yeah, a lot of times. That's so
A lot of times, right? And that shouldn't be. No in-service days to really learn skills.
critiques that we're given.
Yes, it's
don't get that time to do that. So much
Right.
paperwork.
It's a lot of paperwork. So we need to get back to me is I'm not saying that you shouldn't have an option. What I'm saying is that I believe that public schools doesn't hurt. And we need to get these schools back and good teachers and allow teachers to teach what they're good at. Not teach something that they just want you to do. If you're good in math, you're going to be able to teach these students. But if you're not good in math and they got you as an English teacher, we know that, right? That's going to make the kids fail. And what I learned, because I taught in Aldine for a while, right?
Me too.
With a mentor. It was a total different scenario. I had a mentor who helped me, but I was teaching science and I learned how to teach science. I mean, I can teach science like the back of my 26 years now. So it was like science.
Yeah.
And then when I came back to HISD, I was able to teach those kids how to pass the test. Not just look at the test, but they pass the test every year. I had 100% pass rate.
That's good.
So you teach, if you're good at it, you'll teach it. But we know now that we have an educational system that is just structurally corrupted or broken down, and we need to fix that. And we need to get back to basics. We need to get back to the ABCs, 1, 2, 3,
That's so true.
and arithmetic, and all of those things that they used to say. And we have to get back to the basics. Yeah. So that means
speeding it up and you can slow it down and go, like you say, go back to the basics, because this is just too fast for our babies.
So maybe more, having more pre-K classes, schools, but also having places where moms can take their children who have to work.
Oh, I like that.
Those are different things that they need to think about, because that's where a lot of businesses were going before COVID. They had started having, spaces where their workers could go in and take a nap, not be stressed, ice cream machine, just whatever they needed to do so that the employers or the employees were comfortable at work. Something we have to help. And it's not gonna, if you're a single parent and you can't do it, you can't do it. So we have to find those ways. And basically that's what it is. We have to find the money. And we know where the money is. We just have to put the money, go get the money and put it back. And then fix it, and then give the teachers a curriculum. Everybody trying to get something off the internet, you getting something off one site.
Teachers.
That's what I'm saying, It's all kinds of things, So that educational system is just, it's just like everything else here. It's just a matter of them putting the money where the money should be. And again, this is nothing against a charter school if you want to send or you want to do virtual, but there should be options, because everybody just cannot sit at home and do virtual teaching.
It's very difficult.
And because now what you were doing was telling the parents to teach. And sit. Well, they couldn't. And so, this is where we are right now.
Now, speaking of virtual and the pandemic and the mask, what is your opinion about the Texas mask mandate? Because that's been a hot topic.
That's a hot topic. Everybody want to give me a hot topic. Everybody want to give me the hot topic of the mask. The mask or not the mask. And so here's what I say. As a scientist, right? I'm a science by nature.
Okay.
The failure of this was not explaining or giving correct direction as to why something was important. We know when we would bring teachers, our parents in, and we give them the opportunity to be engaged in decision making, they were easier to handle. But when you have entities that are not engaging communities, you're going to have a backlash that you have. Masks should have been worn in the schools, but there should have been conversations as to why. And then what you do is, if we're going to be like a science experiment, and I'm going to say this like for school, when they put people back in school, they already knew that there were people who didn't want to wear masks and masks. They knew there were people with unvaccinated and vaccinated. You do not put them all together and then say, what do we do? At the very beginning, there should have been conversations and making it clear that, we're not trying to force anybody to mask or not mask, but what we want to do is curtail a disease. So what we're going to do, if you don't mind, can we just try this for a week, a month, right? And now what you can do is determine where the sickness comes from. If everybody's out there willy-nilly, when someone gets sick, we're not going to know, because now you're going to blame the unmasked. And then they say even the mask can give it. And then you say the unvaccinated give, but then you come back and you say the vaccinated can also. So that was too much confusion. So I'm about choices, but I'm also about safety. So in certain arenas, you should be doing what you need to do. As a governor, as I stated earlier, there are some subjects, even abortion first aid, like I talked about earlier, and this one, that it's really not a government or the governor's job. It's not. Now, is health and safety? Yes. But we become getting into arenas of subjects matter that we're not supposed to be. And we are destroying what I call freedom of choice. If we talk about freedom of choice, then we have to talk about freedom of choice. And I'm all about choices. I'm all about people having informed consent, meaning that you get the information, you get educated, you do what's best for you and your family. But in settings such as school systems, I believe there should have definitely been a plan of action, but there was not.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you on that.
Yeah.
Because they felt this with the communication.
Yes,
It's just like was no communication. It was like last minute thought process.
yes.
They was making it very
Yeah.
impulsive. You can kind of
And you can tell that.
you can tell.
Yeah, you could tell
Yeah.
that. And it put a lot of people in danger.
Mhm.
And again, as I said, there should have been more communication, because I believe that people will come in order.
Yeah,
People will do things the right way, but you give them reasons.
yeah.
You have to talk to them. You can't talk down,
Right.
because, and children, right? They're going to rebel when you start forcing and saying, I'm going to make you and I'm going to punish you. There should never been a punishment stage in all of this at all. There should have been mitigation and trying to figure out, what do we do when these kids come to school? But we cannot just say this, because there are going to be some people who are going to want to say no.
Oh, yeah.
But talk to these families and say, can we do this? Can we do this so that we can see if this is it?
Because the kids are confused, in my
Right.
school, the kids are confused because some kids wearing masks,
Yeah.
some kids are not. Some parents agree with it.
Absolutely.
So it's like.
And my friend, she was talking about her daughter the first day of school. That's all they talked about. She said they were talking about, don't bump them, don't touch me. You don't bump. So the whole process now is children are not even talking about education.
Mm-mm.
They're worried about their life.
Yes.
And so you're talking about being educated. Where are we going to get education done when you've already put a fear before they even got there? See, that fear and all of that should have never been put in place. Showing pictures and videos and none of that should have been done on a TV screen so that people can see this stuff. You should have been talking to your people, your teachers, the families, and giving them the reason why this needs to be like this and that.
Yeah.
You understand? Yes.
So yes, I definitely
Yes.
agree with you
Yes.
100%.
Yes.
And let's go back to your road to becoming our first African. Well, yeah, you will be our first African American.
If I win,
Texas
definitely.
governor. Now, are you the first African American woman to run?
No, there was one way back,
Okay.
and she was a Republican though, so it don't rack.
Oh,
Back. So let's say
right.
first African American Democrat.
There we go. There we go. To run for governor.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
how has this journey been for you so far?
I mean,
You know.
there have been pushbacks because if you just think about it, it's a man's world, right?
Yes.
It's always been a man's world as it relates to these high
Mhm.
positions. So I'm fighting an uphill battle, but I'm
Okay.
willing to fight because y'all already told y'all
Yes.
I love to fight. You know,
That's good. That's good.
I put on my
We need
boxing
somebody
gloves.
in our
Not literally
Right,
fighting,
let's
people,
clear that
not
up.
literally
Let's
fighting,
clear that up.
but I will put on my boxing gloves. You know,
Right.
I will put on my boxing gloves, and I'm ready to
Yeah.
make changes. You
That's
know,
good. That's
so
good.
that journey, I'm ready.
That's
I'm
good.
ready.
Now, how does your family feel about it?
Now that my family's fine. My husband was he shocked, you know, because because this is a decision I sort of made up on a whim.
Oh, wow.
Because I ran for office before in 2018. I ran for
Okay.
Justice of the Peace.
Mhm.
And the reason why I ran for that office is because I was the victim of what they call fraudulent debt practices. And I was brought to court,
Okay.
and I was trying to explain to the judge, this is not me. I don't know who this is.
Yeah.
And he said, shut up. I was like, oh my God. I've never been told shut up like this, right? So I looked back, and my mom was in the back, and she said, shh, because I was, and I had to hold myself. When I came out, she knew I was livid because this person was trying to charge me with something that I knew that was not mine. And I said, okay. So I go home and I told my husband, I'm running for his office. And I did.
Wow.
And so when I woke up again with the same sort of like scenario, when I just felt like there was no other option. You know, there had never been, in my opinion, I didn't even know that young lady had ran for governor, you know, before, until I started doing some research. So I just said, why not? Let's do it. We haven't had a woman here since Ann Richards.
That's a long time.
That's a long time. And we've never had a Black female. And no one else will step up to the plate, but everybody wants to complain about it. Why you?
Yeah.
And I'm saying, it didn't really matter if it was you, but nobody stepped up to the plate. And we always say that, right? Want to complain. But I was willing
And able.
to step up to the plate and says, me, Lord. And I followed his will because nothing is by happenstance.
Yeah.
We know that. So even though they're asking me why, if you are what? A Christian and know who Jesus is, right?
Absolutely.
He already can say what? He done already
Made a way.
made a pathway. So nothing is about happenstance. It was a plan. Now what I'm going to do as I'm rolling through this way, I just have to see if we're going to win.
Yeah.
We're just going to say we're going to win.
Absolutely.
We're going to win this. So that's
Speak it.
that's
Speak it
it.
into
So my
existence.
husband, after a while, you know, the deacon says, man, you know what to do. You know, he's a deacon. So they say,
Okay.
man, you know what to do. Just let her have a way. And you get
He's
some
gonna support
and
you.
so he supported me, and my family is good. So yes,
Well,
We're definitely doing it.
this has been an awesome interview. I've
Absolutely.
enjoyed every bit of it, and I'm so happy to have met you.
Thank
and
you.
to be on this show. And I know that God is going to bless you in a mighty way. You know, I have faith in Him, and I have faith in you. You're going to
Thank you.
lead this the great state of Texas to greatness, because you're great. And I
Thank you.
definitely see all the greatness coming out with us. And
Thank you.
before I let you go, do you have a message for our people before you go?
Well, the message is vote.
Yes.
The message is change.
Mhm.
The message is the only person who can do it is you. You know, I can only do what I do, and I can only make this race my race. But if you want change, then you're the agent that's going to have to make the change. So all I'm saying is that you got to define your value, and you got to change your mind
Mhm.
on what you want.
Yes.
And then that means that if you want me, then you'll put me in office. And that's all.
And we're going to put her in the office,
That's what we
okay?
ask.
Because change lies within you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank y'all so much. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you guys for tuning in. I would like to thank all of my listeners, viewers. If you guys are interested in being a guest on the Not So Christian and Me Show, please reach out to us on www.thenotsochristianandme.show.com. And you can find us on Instagram and Facebook at the Not So Christian and Me Show. Until next time, remember that no matter what you guys are going through, God will see you through. Stay blessed up. Peace. Bye.
Hey.
Bye, everybody over there on
Bye.
Facebook. All right, that's about good.
Thank you.
Good.
That was great.
Yeah, it went by really fast. So we
Was
started
that an
talking.
hour?
No, it was only 30
Oh,
minutes.
okay.
Yeah, it's only
Okay.
30 minutes.
Okay.
A little bit over. Thank y'all.
So, yeah, and she got caught. She might as well turn around.